Well, hello there everybody, and welcome to Shenandoah Studios' new game, Drive on Moscow. We're heading to the Eastern Front for this one, boys and girls, and hopefully we can find some serious action. Now, in this particular game, we get to essentially choose between the Germans and the Soviets. As well as that, we also get to choose the enemy we face or the general we face. Now, there are a number of scenarios here, and one very interesting thing about this game is that depending on what time of the year you start, things are going to be very different for you. For instance, if you were to start as the Soviets towards winter, of course, you're going to be a little stronger than usual, and the Germans are going to have a little more trouble moving through. Of course, if you start as the Germans in the very beginning of the campaign, you are going to have a huge advantage in terms of your actual armor, in terms of the actual manpower you have, and ultimately the Soviets are going to try to have to stop you. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to play as the Axis, the Germans, and we're playing against Konev. For any new players or starting players, I really recommend you take Konev because he's much easier to play if you're just a casual gamer. So let's go ahead and jump in here and see what we find. Alright, right away you notice that awesome soundtrack, I'm sure. And we're going to just take a look here, guys, at the victory points. These are the points we need to take to actually get a victory. And as you can see, of course, there are about, 7 of these. And these are major victory points. Now, if we look at command confusion, this lets us know kind of what's going on in this particular part of the war. We just attacked the Soviet Union, and they are not prepared for this attack at all. So they're really going to have to fight as ferociously as possible if they plan to keep us, the Germans, at bay. Now we're going to go ahead and just take a look at the objectives here, and of course in this particular objective, our objective is by taking Moscow map itself. So if you have a snowstorm or something like that, you're going to see it occur right there on the map. Now the first attack I'm going to do is going to be we have to do our interdiction first. So the interdiction essentially will stop a unit from moving this turn, and I already know which one I want to select. It's this one in Truchevsk, and the reason I want to select that one in Truchevsk is I don't want them heading over to Bryansk to try and support that tank division. So we're going to go ahead and commit to that interdiction. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and try and attack the enemy here at Zhukovka. Now if I want to, I could bring another unit over here. The reason that I can't do that is because in this particular game, we can only have 3 units on a tile at the same time. Now, could I take one of these units out and recycle one of these units, send them back into the front? Absolutely, but that's not what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go ahead and launch an attack here against the enemy. And if you look at this 4-5, this shows us essentially how much damage we're likely to do on this particular attack. So in fact, there's a chance we do 4 damage, there's a slightly bigger chance we do 5, and there's a massive chance we cause the enemy units to retreat. And that's exactly what we want. Let's go! And there we go, the Soviets have retreated, guys. Absolutely wonderful news there. So what we're going to try to do now is we are going to try to chase those Soviets. Of course, the thing about this particular game is we are doing a series of movements within one turn. So we're not going to be able to move this tank division again this turn. We've got to wait until the enemy's turn. So in the meantime, we've got to do other things to assure that we get a good victory here. So I'm going to take a look around here. There's probably a few places I want to go to, and one of them is going to be Rzhev over here in the west. So I'm going to go ahead and attack here at Vladiminskoye. And at Vladiminskoye, as you can see, once again, we've got a small chance of making the enemy retreat, quite a lot more chances of actually just making the enemy take some damage. Either way, I'm going to go for that attack and commit to it. Glorious! We not only got rid of the enemy, guys, we completely destroyed the enemy. Now, in this case, I'm not going to send all 3 tank units to the north because we've got an infantry unit here to the east. And the last thing I need is for him to get past our tank divisions here and essentially cause us a tremendous amount of trouble. So I'm going to send 1 tank division over here to Dorogubzh, and I'm going to send 1 north to Sychovka. And this kind of shows you that there are many different ways to approach a specific situation. So we're going to commit to this attack. I hope our tanks can break through, but they've already been through 1 battle this turn, and could be a bit of a challenge for them. So, of course, as you guys know, once again, since our offensive turn is not happening this turn, that attack is not going to commence yet. And in fact, if the enemy tries to move, the attack, or I should say the battle, will take place. Now, we're going to go ahead and see here. It doesn't look like the enemy's trying anything crazy, and I appreciate that. What I think I want to do is send 2 more units over to Dorobch, but it doesn't look like we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to send 1 armored car up here to assist in Sychovka. Now, if you guys take a look here, and this is quite important, I want to show you this. Our tanks are no longer in action this turn, as you can see. So we're actually not going to be doing as well as expected here with just the 36th Motorized Division. We are going to attack, though, and we should still be able to do some pretty significant damage. At least enough damage to make the enemy think twice about staying in the area. That was what I was concerned about, guys, is, of course, the enemy cutting us off. Actually, they're trying to take on a lone Panzer unit with some infantry and some cavalry. And you have to understand that these unit markers represent not just 1 or 2 units, but hundreds or thousands of units. In terms of the armor, probably maybe 10 or 20, 30, etc. But in terms of the actual manpower, this could be many thousands of men. So the enemy cut us off. I want to do the same to them. I'm going to actually go ahead and attack behind their lines in Kirov and try to cut off the rail line to Bryansk. And actually, there's a very large chance here that we get the enemy to retreat, so I'm absolutely going to commit to this attack. Total destruction, guys. We not only got them to retreat, we have actually gotten them to... well, they're essentially destroyed. Now, what I'm going to do here is there's a few things I want to do. Kaluga is right there. I don't see any Soviet units near it. So I'm going to send 1 of my tank units to Kaluga. Now I'm going to send 1 tank unit... sorry, let's go back and do that again. Keep 1 tank unit in Kaluga. I'm going to send 1 tank unit over here to Karachev to get behind the enemy at Bryansk. And I'm going to send 1 to Oyotovko. And I'm hoping that this will cut off the enemy line. This way they can't really do too much movement, and we're also getting closer to another victory point location over here. Now, of course, this is just the central part of the battle. We've got a ton more on the right near Kursk and a ton more on the left near Rozhev. And you guys could imagine that this could go back and forth for quite a long time. Let's commit and see what the enemy does in response to that move. Okay, so interesting. The closer we get to Orel, it looks like the Soviets are going to go ahead and try to defend the location as best they can, and that is definitely a good tactical move. I'm not sure how it's going to fare in the actual battle itself, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that what they're trying to do is defend this area as best as possible, and that if we face their infantry unit with just 1 of our tank divisions, we might not be able to necessarily break through. So that we have to keep in mind. Now over here, we've got a bunch of infantry divisions, and I'd like to see infantry versus infantry, but it really could go either way. It's almost like a roll of the dice. In fact, that's exactly what it is. There is a chance that we take 5 damage here and get little to nothing accomplished. So let's go ahead and commit to this attack. Attack, men! Beautiful. So there we go, guys. Another thing we haven't seen yet in this particular battle, which I do want to show you guys, is the use of cover in the game. So as you can see, once again, enemies trying to get to Kaluga. They're very aware of our movements here. If we take a look over here, for instance, and I'm only going to do this so that you guys can see how cover works in this game, because this is probably not a battle that's going to go very well for us. So I'm going to go ahead and attack this area here in Bochep. And we're going to take a look to the right of the enemy unit. I'm going to circle it with my mouse. You guys are going to see a tree icon. Now this represents 1 defensive bonus for the enemy. So before we even hit any enemy troops, we've got to get rid of the cover in front of them. So here we go. Look at those 2 trees. There we go. Managed to get through the trees pretty well. But as you can see, they stopped 2 shots. And the 3rd Army is not damaged at all. As you can see, they took no hits. And that's probably because of the cover bonus here. Of course, that cover bonus does not move to the next turn, so we've already wiped out that tree line in front of that enemy infantry division or enemy infantry brigade, and we are going to be prepared to open fire on the infantry itself next turn. Again, that cover does not last forever. Okay, it looks like the enemy's going to try and help their friends here in Gorbabush, and they actually managed to destroy our Panzer Division. That is going to hurt, and not only that, it's actually going to cut us off a bit here, guys, specifically our tank units at Rzhev. So all we can do right here at Rzhev is to go ahead and commit to the attack. And there we go. We did get the Soviets to retreat. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to try and send these infantry units up towards Rzhev as well. But I'm guessing they're going to send some infantry here to interdict. Wow, they actually didn't. That is surprising. However, they are sending as many defenders to the city as possible. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying the game so far. If you want to see more action in Drive on Moscow, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, and obviously leave a comment. We always like to hear what you guys have to say here at Slytherin, and your feedback really allows us to improve things. Take care, guys, and have an awesome day.